school. It's time now for the school report. Today we welcome Lori Frerk to the studio, the superintendent of the Arcadia School District, brought to you by Poppy Bus Service. The school report starts right now.
It is that time again. It is Friday, and I have Lori Frerk in the house. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, and it's a busy Friday for us around here. So if you want to come,
weekend for you guys.
If you want to come on any live remotes, you are welcome to come with us.
Yeah, I know, because we just talk about anything, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
We'd be good at these podcasts. But...
I think so. Yeah. So school is all over for you guys already. So
yes,
and everyone else around the area.
Yep, and 2 weeks of summer school is already in the books. So one more week to go.
One more week of summer school. So how's all that going for the kids?
Actually really well. Mm-hmm. You're looking for more of the at least the adventure pieces, exploration pieces. So we've got an exploration class going out, and in fact one of the kids I'm gathering, and if I remember correctly, caught a 19-inch brook trout, which is a huge brook trout and so forth. So they're experiencing at least nature and what it looks like and how to fish, how to do all these different things. That's really what summer school is about. There's other things, reading and math and so forth in there, but we don't have as many for our high school. Our high school did a wonderful job in making sure that they passed courses and stuff, so we didn't have to have a big impact there collecting those pieces. But we're looking at it, how do we expand it more? How do we get more, of course, those CTE courses and different things, how do we expand that so that kids can experience those things if they can't get it in the regular day? That's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing about summer school. My girls were always, they always signed up for summer school just for those opportunities to go out, because it's more of a fun experience. I mean, there's learning involved and things, but it's a pretty fun experience for the kids.
Yeah, well, everybody's like, well, why don't you do it during the school year? Well, you do. You try, but you got to remember that you got to follow the state standards and the federal standards and so forth, and you have to do certain things, and so those are there. But if you can put those opportunities in and put the reading and the math in there and everything else, then you see the kids just blossom overall. So it's actually been exciting for them.
Yeah, and I suppose you guys are probably already thinking about next year, aren't you?
Actually, we're even thinking about 27, 28.
Yeah,
so
I figured so much.
Yeah, 26, 27 is coming around. It's pretty well there for most of us. So what we look at it for superintendents and building leads is right now is when the time is that individuals that teachers, staff, and so forth, they may be leaving your district. We've had a few that have left and gotten closer to their home or moving back to their home and so forth. So we just have to prepare and look for those. And then my team actually is looking at justifying whether or not we have to replace them. So we're in those stages where we're beginning to actually have a little bit of a drop of enrollment, so we want to make sure that we're not overstaffed. And so we're looking at those pieces as we move forward. Some of the same things that I've been talking to our board of ed with and looking at developing and so forth is looking 3 to 5 years down the line. If our enrollment continues to drop, how do we actually reduce our staffing, but reduce it through attrition. So either people that retire or people that actually leave the district and so forth, so that we don't want to do like Eau Claire where we had to pink slip 20 people and so forth. But if you look down the line and you look for that pattern, then you can actually do it and do it respectfully.
Yeah. And that, people always talk about the world being overpopulated, but it seems like we are in this period of we're running in the other direction at this moment.
Correct. I mean, the birth rate has really, everybody could see that, and it doesn't just in Arcadia, it's across the United States. The birth rate is down. Arcadia has been able to kind of defend that drop of enrollment for a few years. However, with some of the changes of different things, and now we've just had that this year, and we're looking at another drop next year. And again, nothing that you and I can do. I mean, I'm past my my time of having children and so forth. But I mean, and it is difficult when you look at it. People look at it and how much it costs and so forth. And we look at our Little Raiders childcare. We're trying to make sure that we pay our our child care providers well, but it's also challenging because you can't pay them too much because then the people that are bringing their children there can't afford it. So you're trying to work with those same intangibles and so forth as you go forward.
Yep, and that's one thing that affects a lot of parents is that child care thing, and you know that you're working on giving them a place for it. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing. It's kind of it's enjoyable to have a child care part of the school district.
Yeah.
So whenever whenever I want my baby fix, I can go down to our 0 to 2 room building and so forth. But it's amazing. It's funny because at a time we can have 4 infants at a time with an individual, and it's amazing where 4 infants are there, and it's 4 boys.
Yep.
And then the next group comes in, then it's 4 girls. It's just amazing how life and how nature just kind of handles those things. And you see that ebb and flow of those pieces. But, our Little Raiders child care teachers, they've been just impactful for our kids. And it's great for our families and so forth. And they see that there's a caring person for their kids, that they can drop them off at the beginning of the day and pick them up at the end of the day and know that they're safe. And that they're actually growing and learning and developing. So it's a key piece to our district itself.
Yeah. Are they running that year-round then?
Yes, they do. Yeah. So we have to kind of shuffle them around because our custodians are in now, clearing out all of the desks and trying to rebuff all the floors and do all those pieces. They're doing a great job, but they just kind of move around with individuals that are in the buildings and so forth and take care of those pieces. And that's another key piece is it's like we talked about before. It's not a fairy that comes in and cleans the rooms. It gets them ready. Our custodial crew, then we hire some summer help in that because it's a lot to do. When you think of every room being buffed, every hallway being buffed, all this tables being taken out, everything being cleaned, brought back in. So they're doing an outstanding job. And right now, our crews seem to be ahead of the game. But again, you never fall back on that because you need it done. We need it done a little bit earlier because remember, we're starting our calendar year earlier with the TVC. So we want to make sure that we're ready, set to go.
Yeah. Yep. And I think they will be. And what else is going on around the school this summer?
Well, it's at first we were a little nervous because we actually had a really large increase in our students. We talked about this earlier. Large increase of our students taking tech ed classes. We ended up, I think we have about 240 kids now taking automotive, and we have others packed. And we actually scheduled for a teacher, and we didn't know if we would get a teacher or not. But we've been blessed that we were actually able to hire a tech ed teacher to come in for next year. So now we all have basically 3 full-time tech ed teachers within our building, so we can actually help our students, and hopefully we can open and expand our tech ed portion to now our 7th and 8th graders if we can actually wiggle that in. We're also looking, we had a downturn within our business area, but we're looking at an individual that is in the public area, in the private sector, so forth, that actually wants to come back and actually teach and kind of get time back for their family rather than busting for the money and different things. So we're looking at making some of those changes, and we're just applying the right pieces for our students. We're really looking at when we're scheduling overall. It's kind of an interesting part is like we just ask the kids, "What do you want?" I think in parts in the past, kind of what I'm finding, we just kind of scheduled. But if we're finding out what they want, then we kind of put that schedule together, and then we try to find the right teachers. So the students themselves were pretty adamant that they needed and wanted more welding, they wanted more construction, they wanted more automotive. So we're doing that, and we're trying to make that expansion. Now we're tight. We're tight in our building, so we're just going to have to make sure we maneuver and have that happen. And that's part of what we're doing with our board of ed. They're looking at what it looks like for facilities and making some changes in facilities. If we're going forward, we do have to look at some of our things that are deteriorating. We do have an elementary school that has 100-year-old part of the building plus. It's not feasible right now to actually repair that. It just is very costly. What does that look like? But how do we do it in a mindful manner that if we are looking at consolidating or looking at how do we change some things, how do we do that so that we can cut back on staffing and that we're actually giving our kids the right pieces? So those are some of the things that the board is looking at itself overall.
And like you said, with that trend moving towards CVTC, I think there's going to be more of that trend as we move into the future. We need people to to get placed in jobs faster. And, you know, it used to be back in the day where it was, like when I graduated, they wanted a 4-year college, you know, yeah, you could go to the tech school, but now it seems to be kind of flip-flopping in the other direction.
Right. Tech school was frowned upon back, you know, when we were going to school, and I probably earlier than you. It really wasn't a place that everybody's like, well, because you can't handle college, you went to tech school. But yet tech school was the place to go. Yeah. That's where our TVC board and superintendents are really looking at how do we help one another. So like for us, we're opening up that tech ed area. We're going to really focus, like I said, on automotive. We're going to look at some of the electrical, those different things, and we're trying to be impactful. Not like we're taking welding out of every school. You're going to have the basics, but one of our schools is going to have that upper level welding and that knowledge base, very similar to Whitehall having the Emerging Tech Center. Yeah. We're also working together because we also know health careers is an important piece. We're trying to develop that process. We've been actually traveling we went to Rochester and we went to La Crosse yesterday for some of these hubs, and we're trying to develop that ourselves so that hopefully we can make this change so that in 27-28 we actually have a health facilities area. We're trying to work with our local businesses like Amplify and Trempealeau County, support all those pieces because it is important for us to do that. We're hoping that with all these changes that the students will actually have the skills, the relational skills to be able to adapt. I can tell you, I don't even know what kind of jobs they're going to have right now. Yeah. To be honest, the kids that are in elementary school, I don't know what emerging technology is going to do with their jobs, what it's going to look like. You and I don't have any clue. Oh, no, not at all. Before, you could kind of anticipate what was changing, all those things. Like I said, I can remember the cell phone in the bag. Yep. In the car or the big, long antenna and so forth. Yep. No one really thought you're going to have a small computer in your pocket.
Oh, I know. And that went from, like, the 90s to now, where I remember I was a satellite installer. That big cell phone in the bag that barely worked wherever you were, and then you wrote down your directions every place you were going.
Correct.
Do you think a kid could use a map or write down these directions? So, where do we go in another 20 years from now?
Right. Or you got your MapQuest and it's telling you the police are ahead and stuff like that. You got to be, right? So we are looking at how do we provide the skills for our students, because they will probably change their career paths multiple times, more than what we've ever done. We've always talked about 3 different career paths or whatever for us. We may be looking at 15, 20 for them, and we just don't know. But how do we give them those tangible skills and processes, the critical thinking, the ability to make those adjustments? The computer can't do that. You've got to be able to look at that computer. We talk about social media. There's a lot to social media that's not truthful. You've got to really be able to look at it and be adaptive. You can see people that take every word truthfully. There's truth, like whenever I've had kids that have had discipline pieces, there's truth on each side. Yeah. There's something in the middle that you've got to find. So we've got to be able to provide the skills and the applications for our students, but we also have to have our teachers looking forward towards that too. How can they make that adaptation? Yeah. Not change who they are and how they teach certain things, but how do they help them get in that progressive piece? Yep. It's, when people are scared about it, it's scary for me too. I'm at that end, on that end product and so forth. What does it look like? How is that going to be? We just got to look and just hopefully keep our promises to our kids and making sure that we're giving them the best that we can as they go through the school system. Yep,
exactly. And that critical thinking, too, is a big piece with that, too, so they can take different information, or even with jobs, it helps them move and navigate through this new world that we're creating right now.
Correct. When you look at that, even for me, being in education, I got my first car. Right? My dad he's like, here's what I'm going to show you. And of course I had to get a car that had stick shift, so I know how to do that, right? But when I got that, he's like, I'm not going to have you be a female on the side of the road. I'm going to teach you how to change a tire, to do these things, to know and understand what's going on. So those are valuable pieces, but yet it helps me in certain other areas. We have to be able to look at things. It's not, here's the one career path and this is it, and these are the only skills you're going to have. Those skills have to be able to go from one pathway to the next. What they're doing in the Emerging Tech Center at Whitehall, or what they're doing in the Welding Center over here at Blair Taylor, those things have to be interchangeable, and people have to be able to use pieces and parts and adapt.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a good place to end, unless you got anything else you want to
No,
cover
that almost seems like a farmer, right?
Yeah, it does. It seems
when
like
you think about it,
Yeah.
as you're going through, which means you got all those farmers' breakfasts. Remember, I've got the Quick Trip guys, and they're like, "Why do you have so many farmer breakfasts tomorrow?" But if anybody can, just get out to those breakfasts.
you can get out to each one of them and just pack yourself full
Oh
tomorrow.
my goodness, you'd be rolling down the road, right?
You would be. So, yeah, hopefully we see some people out and about for those tomorrow. And, if not, put some milk in your coffee, and that'll help those farmers celebrate June Dairy Month.
There you go.
All right, Lori, thank you so much for coming in today. We will see you next month then.
Yes, awesome.
All right. We're going to jump back into the hits right after this.
WHTL. Tomorrow night, the ground in Ettrick is gonna shake. The Ettrick Lions Club presents the Ettrick